You're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV International as the 27th of December has been assigned as the day of the NGOs and the social work in the Arab world to the decision taken by the Arab Social Affairs Ministers. The day comes to celebrate the joint cooperation between the NGOs for the purpose of establishing an effective social work. And to be speaking more about the NGOs and the challenges facing them in Egypt today, I'm honored to be having with me on Nile Cruise Dr. Amani Hola, the writer and the head of board of trustees of Watan Foundation. Thank you very much for being with us today. And Mr. Mustafa Abdulaziz, the general secretary of the Technology Institute. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks.
A very good day, and it's a pleasure to have you both with us today. And today's very special episode and special day, of course, because today, the 27th of December, of course, as Ahmed just mentioned, we're celebrating the Arab Day of NGOs. Why are NGOs in the Arab world not as effective as in Europe, Dr. Amani?
To be honest, we have to tell that many people, many introducers got involved in the field of the social work for their own benefits, either financial or political or even religious. So they spoil the field, and they make people lost trust in the social work for the sake of people only, not for having their own benefits.
In your opinion, what about the main challenges, Mr. Mustafa, facing the NGOs in Egypt and the world in general?
To be honest, in Europe and other world, it's very famous to have NGOs, and it's legalized to have donation from everywhere, and they are specialized in spending this donation in a certain field that they have. But due to the past years in our country, I'm talking in our country, it was like mixed between political donation and so the history, it wasn't that good. We're trying to make in our case a protocol to use this donation in a very sensitive point, which is the needs of the small students in the schools. They don't have desks to be seated in the classrooms. So we're using this donation, turning to the raw materials, which is woods and paints, to a final, a proper fine desks to the needed students.
Dr. Amani, many still regard social work as the responsibility of the government, and they don't pay attention to the role of the NGOs. And like Mr. Mustafa just mentioned now, donors, how do you reach these donors when the governmental organizations do not cooperate with the NGOs to make it better and easier and more facilitated?
Actually, we have our own principle to avoid the corruption, which gives the bad impression about the work. So our theme is charity is pride. للخير كبرياء. We are trying to do it, not just to say it. So, for example, our initiative now, we are having the raw material and the work through the institute, which will not gain any money from this initiative, and the final product will be received by the schools. So the donor will feel trust, because he sees himself that the cost of the raw materials is expressed into a final product with a very cheap price, with no benefit for any one of the partners.
Yes, as the General Secretary of the Institute, what made you interested in knowing more about the NGOs and helping the underprivileged here in Egypt?
We participated in two different ways. One of them, it's helping the NGO using our machineries and our techniques. We do have a proper machineries to do a fine products for such case. And meanwhile, we train people because most of the people here in Egypt, they only concentrating in education or higher education, and we have really a lack of experience and hands-on experience on the
Vocational.
it's a vocational training. So we through each case we train people to do case by case, not only the desks, but in this case, we concentrating on the desks itself.
How did the Ministry of Education see your amazing initiative, Dr. Amani?
I want you to tell me. We are trying to contact them, but it's very difficult. And the time we are wasting to knock the doors, we start to work. I hope through your very nice program, they can see us and they can start communicate with us. We tried actually, but there was no response.
You tried reaching the Minister of Education and there was no response.
Yeah.
So what about the Watan initiative? What is it about?
It's about teaching people how to work, how to be independent, not how to receive donations and to be depending on somebody else to help you throughout your life. So one of our targets is to train people, especially children actually. We start very early to have the culture of work, not only the mahara, skills. We want also to build up the personality, not only the skills. So we start with the dropout children and street children, starting from age 9. Because at age of 9, you cannot enter the school. If there is a child didn't enter the school before 9 years old, he will not be accepted in the school. So we are looking for them in everywhere, in the streets, in the workshops, even in their homes, by contacting the people in the poor areas, and we collect them and we make a classroom, not for academic teaching only, but also for vocational training. And we have lovely products out of that. Actually, we start to get very good products from them.
Dr. Amani, Water, or in English, it's of course home, was established to be the home of homeless children who lack the suitable care. How did you start, or how did this start, or how did you think of it?
I will tell you a very personal story, but actually it affects me, my whole life. It changed actually my whole life. One day in the street, there was a kid, 6 years old, almost 5 to 6 years old kid, was having a very dirty towel to clean up the car and ask for money. My driver actually just pushed him and talked to him roughly. So he starts to cry, and he wasn't in the age of my child. I feel he's a child. If I start to talk to him, he told me that his mother left him. Actually, didn't left him. Actually, she threw him away from the home and told him, go away with a small bag of clothes and 50 piastres, I don't know why, and said, I will get married, don't come here again. And she left him in the, she let him go in the street. I felt so hesitated what to do. Should I take him with me? My driver was very cruel. He told me, doctor, forget about him. He's telling, he's acting.
He's not saying the truth.
And we moved away. After half an hour, I asked him to come back. And I decided to pick up the kid and take care of him. And I didn't find him. From this day, every day for more than 1 month, I go to the area and look for him, and I couldn't find him. And then I decided to make an organization for such kids.
And this is how El Watan was born.
So does this mean that there's a possibility that the Institute could be helping in this initiative?
Yes, of course. And I want to assure one point, because for the people they donate money to bring raw materials, we did small things to assure the donor that we put a serial number in each desk. We engrave them in the wood. So we can assure the donor himself that his money in a proper place, either he choose the school to put the desk on it, or we can help on it.
What problems does dropping out of basic education cause in our society?
All the problems are caused by this kind of problem. Like the fire, when you just let a small fire to begin, then it will be out of control.
It ignites everywhere.
Yeah, so it's really should have a priority in every plan we are making.
Mr. Mustafa, you said that the mentality of the people should change, that it is not just about the education or the higher education, it's not about the degree that the school gives you or the faculty gives you at the end of your education. It's more about hands-on education as well. You need to be having skills to be working.
To be honest, I challenge you that 90%
Yes.
out of our universities, colleges, institutes, they do have a proper hands-on experience or a vocational training. All the graduates, after they finish their graduation, they start like what we were studying and what we have. So it's a two different world.
Yes.
To be honest, I hope that vocational training take a part. It's a mentality of our culture that they need their child.
So how can this change, in your opinion?
It's the culture itself. That the person can be respected, either graduates or have skills, proper skills. So I hope that our image or the point of view to our child can be different from higher graduates or have skills to be in the field.
Dr. Amani, what regions in Egypt do you target?
Sorry?
What regions in Egypt do you target?
We target all the, actually don't have a certain criteria. We are trying to, everywhere we find a way, we go through. For example, this initiative wasn't planned before the academic year starts. When we saw the kids in the social media and we heard about what's happening in the beginning of the academic year and how students are rushing to catch a seat because there are not enough seats, and there was a very dramatic and tragic actually accident. One of the children was dead under the feet of the others because they were rushing and they're running over him until he died. So, and climbing the buildings, even by the parents themselves, they encourage their kids to do very unethical behavior, like climbing the water pipes to catch...
to book a place.
So this makes us ignite our project to make this initiative. So we are trying, whenever we find a way to help, we are trying to do it.
So what about the problems that dropping out of school and, of course, college could be causing to the society?
You're causing a bombs. You're causing a bombs. It's by way or another, you're turning a homeless. If you can find a path to him, he can be something unexpected.
Okay, what are the needs of those children, sir?
Sorry?
What are the needs of those children other than a desk, going to school? Of course, they need at home family support. They need psychological support. They need lots and lots of other types of support.
They need the respect.
Yeah, this is the most important.
From family.
Their families.
Yes. Actually, if we can compare in a hurry between our ages, when I was in local schools, not international, when I wasn't focused to be taught in English from in a primary or a KG or in any stage, and but at those times we were respecting our teachers. We will bow in front of them. We will respect every word they were saying to us. Now, it's a matter of money. Students have money. They have the upper hand. They have our say to the teacher. There is no respect whatsoever. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think it's, I don't read it like this. Actually, I read it as national and international schools, which is the main problem. I understand and totally understand.
Both
that
of them,
what
I'm
you're
sorry.
saying
I'm
about-
sorry.
But what you're saying about long time ago, when you used to be educated in schools which are national schools, education was very good, and of course you're educated very well. But today it's not about rich and poor. It's about national and international school, which is the
Believe
main
me,
problem.
I'm sorry, but believe me, it's the respect. I'm not talking about local.
You mean the respect the student gains from
Yes.
the teacher?
Yes,
Both ways.
Both ways.
Both ways.
both ways. Both ways.
When a parent comes to a school fighting because the teacher punished his kid, of course, I'm not talking about physical punishment or hitting. I'm talking about giving the teacher his role and his rights to raise up the personality of the kid. When we are talking in a negative way, we are forgetting about the ethics. Everything will be ruined.
Before, it was the respect from the family, the parents, to the teachers. It was inherited to the students, to the teacher. But now, no. There is lack of this trust. There is lack of this communication.
So why
And
do you think there is a lack of respect between both sets, the parents, the students, and the teachers? Is it just about the money?
Of course.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The person feel that he has a power if he has a money, that he is even above the
But
law.
this would be the fault of the parents, because the parents make their child feel privileged, and you have the money, you have the power. This would be the fault of the parents, not the teachers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Teacher, the students, they create this mess, but not respecting their teachers. By not respecting the community. But it's
Do you have the same problem with the institute? At the institute, with the children dropping out of school, maybe? Do they have the same problem?
when they start in we call it the first stage in engineering, because we are in an engineering higher institute, so they found themselves has to obey our system. I'm not trying to saying that we are but by the way, we ranked
They are
number
one
2 in Egypt.
They are one of the best, actually.
Okay, we focusing in behaviors, in social behaviors, in very good communications between doctors and the academic career and the students. And meanwhile, the administration themselves, we concentrating on this part.
And actually, I think the proof that this institute, I didn't even know them before the initiative, but actually I was impressed by their help, and they are trying to create something socially helpful for the community and for also their students, to teach them how to be helpful and positive in the community.
How did you get to know each other and coordinate together, Dr. Amani?
Actually, they have a lovely PR responsible. She's a friend of mine. When she told me about what they are thinking of, I was very impressed, and I said to her, please, I would be honored to help.
So what about the future relationship, the future cooperation between both of you on other initiatives? How would that happen?
I will be glad to help in any thing using our equipments, machineries, ideas, designs. In any aspects we can help Watan in their initiative.
Yes, and you, Doctor.
Dr. Ameni, could you tell us more about Watan? When did you start? What were the purposes when it started, and how did it develop till you reached where you are today? And I think I met you like 5 years ago. You just started, and you were very enthusiastic, and you had loads of enthusiasm. Could you tell us the development?
Actually, we tried. Now it's almost 10 years. We changed our rule even by the experience. We discover some other ideas and we learned from them. For example, we started with the very addicted and affected street children, and we have to tell we couldn't help. Our target was to make like a magic stick and change them all. We affected some of them. We have few of them are survived, but many of them we couldn't. So we make a little bit change in our strategy. We start a little bit earlier. And instead of looking for the addicted children, we start to look for the dropped out before they start to be in a worst case we cannot help. So now our target is every student of 9 years old who is not in school, because he will go through this way anyway. But we have to catch him before he starts to reach the irreversible point.
Yes, Dr. Amani Hola, the writer and the head of Board of Trustees of Watan Foundation. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mustafa Abdulaziz, the General Secretary of the Technology Institute. Thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us here in Nile Cruise.
And we will be having a quick break, so stay tuned.